Welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars, your corner of cross-cultural buzz, award-worthy talent, and the moments that make international stardom feel personal. Today we're stepping into a turning point for one of Turkey's most magnetic figures, Akınözü. The heartthrob whose screen presence has traveled far beyond borders is taking an audacious leap. He's headlining a Spanish-language romantic thriller with the pulse of a blockbuster and the sensitivity of a love story. 8 episodes, one towering challenge, and a platform that plants him firmly on Europe's main stage, all through the powerhouse of Madrid's Turkishseries studios. The series centers on a covert operative, once Spain's most reliable shadow in the field, who finds his pristine career shattered by treachery from within. Marked as a traitor, accused of crimes he never committed, he's forced into a desperate sprint through Madrid's winding corridors of power and memory. Every alley hides a secret, every phone call could be a trap. Yet amid the danger, something unexplainable cuts through the noise: love. That fragile, inconvenient, irresistible force becomes the hinge of his transformation, a crack in his armor that threatens to undo him, and the very thing that might show him the way back to himself. The creative brain trust is formidable. The concept is born from the imagination of Eduardo Galdo, whose name carries a reputation for elegant structure and emotional gut punches. Overseeing the execution is Lele Portis, the executive producer guiding the project with a steady hand. The script, a careful dance between visceral action and intimate confession, is written by Angela Oban and Daniel Corpus. And at the center of its international ambition stands Brendan Fitzgerald, the visionary CEO of Turkishseries Studios, who is not shy about the stakes or the star. In conversations behind the scenes, he makes it clear that Akın is there to raise the ceiling. The message is simple. He doesn't just arrive, he transforms the room. Akınözü's own voice in all this is a blend of humility and daring. Speaking about stepping into Spain for the first time as a lead, he admits the surreal quality of it, the language rolling on his tongue, the cadence of a new city entering his bloodstream, the weight of the role reminding him why he became an actor in the first place. He talks about long nights practicing lines in Spanish until the words feel lived in, not memorized, about wanting to earn the embrace of audiences who have welcomed Turkish dramas with open arms. And when asked about the romantic thread that coils through the danger, his smile gives away what his words only hint at. For the chemistry to work on screen, the connection has to be real. That's where the whispers get louder. Spanish outlets and industry insiders are buzzing about the female lead, a performer with global name recognition, someone who can meet Akın's intensity breath for breath. The name that keeps ricocheting from newsroom to fan forum is Ebru Şahin. Their history speaks for itself, an electricity that audiences still cite in comment sections years later, the kind of partnership that makes viewers forget where fiction ends and reality begins. No official confirmation yet, but Ebru's name is threaded through every rumor, and a certain warmth in Akın's recent interviews hasn't gone unnoticed. If this pairing is real, it's the reunion fans have been waiting for, and the gamble that could turn a daring series into a landmark. The show promises spectacle and soul in equal measure. Expect heart and throat chases racing along Madrid's historic arteries, sunlight glinting off stone facades as if the city itself is watching. Picture hushed negotiations in villas where every glass of wine feels like a confession, and coded messages tucked into the folds of everyday life: a bus ticket, a book spine, the glimmer of a bracelet. Every episode aims to fuse adrenaline with vulnerability, tracking a man who must decide what he's willing to abandon to reclaim his name. The love story doesn't sidestep the chaos, it complicates it. Duty pulls one way, desire the other, and the line between salvation and surrender is razor thin. Behind the camera, the energy is a hum you can feel. Crew members speak of Akın as fiercely focused but generous, switching between Turkish, English, and Spanish so seamlessly that set life turns into a shared language. One assistant described him quietly running lines with a dialect coach at dawn, then laughing with extras during lunch to keep the mood human. There are also murmurs, yes, those again, about a familiar figure seen near a Madrid rehearsal space, a silhouette that fans insist belongs to Ebru Şahin. No confirmation, just the kind of grainy photos that ignite the internet. If she steps into the story, it won't be as a mere romantic foil, it will be as the axis around which his character's fate spins. Meanwhile, social media is a wildfire. From Istanbul to Madrid, timelines are full of theories. frame-by-frame breakdowns of every candid, and edits that turn a half-second glance into a chapter of longing. Each new image Akın posts from set, a blurred skyline at dusk, a smudge of ink on a script page, a shirt cuff stain from a chase, becomes a Rosetta Stone for fans. When Ebru likes a post or drops a subtle comment, the trending charts tilt. It's not just hype, it's participation. Viewers feel like they're building the mythology with their own hands. Insiders say the writing digs deeper than the surface of espionage. The protagonist's fall is political and personal, a fracture in institutions and in the heart. Trust evaporates, then reforms in a new shape, harder, stranger, but perhaps more true. This duality is precisely the challenge that could recast Akın's image, not as a simple romantic figure, but as an actor who can hold danger and tenderness in the same glance. And if Ebru joins, her role will play with her public persona as a force of will, resolute yet luminous, someone who knows that love doesn't soften steel, it tempers it. Spain itself is not a backdrop here, it's a co-star. The narrow streets that seem to carry secrets in their stones, the golden spill of late afternoon light, the heartbeat of plazas where strangers become co-conspirators with a nod, all of it feeds the story's pulse. Every frame aims for that elusive point where real places meet heightened emotion, where a breath on a balcony feels as consequential as a rooftop sprint. The team wants audiences, regardless of language, to feel what the characters feel, the dread of a missed call, the relief when a door finally opens, the ache of choosing love when logic demands a different path. On screen, you'll see Akın at full tilt, sprinting through crowded squares, tearing open envelopes that carry more weight than bullets, reading a room with the speed of a survivor. You'll also see the quiet, shoulders loosening after a near miss, the tremor in a hand that won't drop the past, eyes that can't decide whether to confess or to lie. If Ebru stands opposite him, the dynamic becomes even sharper, two wills testing each other, two pasts colliding, two futures bargaining for space. Together they'd push the story beyond a standard thriller into a drama about the cost of love when the world is watching. Speculation around the female lead refuses to fade. Is it Spain's elite lending one of its brightest lights? A breakout from Latin America with fire in her voice? Or is it, as the chorus keeps insisting, Ebru Şahin returning to share the screen with Akın Akınözü? Insiders stay silent, but the casting choice will do more than fill a role. It will set the temperature for every scene. The central tension, between a disciplined agent and the person who stirs his heart into rebellion, needs an alchemy you can't fake. Tell us, would you cast Ebru, or do you have a dark horse favorite? Drop your thoughts right here on Secrets Behind the Stars. We see you, and we read it all. The anticipation feels like the countdown to a major streaming premiere. Spanish viewers are ready to claim a new homegrown legend with an international twist, while Turkish fans are circling dates on calendars, prepping for watch parties, and translating excitement across languages. The rollout is expected to reach far beyond 2 countries, and leaked schedules point to set pieces that will turn landmarks into fever dreams. The royal palace caught between shadow and spotlight, the Grand Via pulsing like an artery, whispers traded under statues that have witnessed centuries. Action, psychology, and romance braid together here. The arc promises a transformation, Akın's journey from passionate hero to a man on the run, then to someone who can tell the truth even when it costs him everything. Critics who've traced his path from early Turkish hits to bold international choices say this might be the performance that reframes him for a new audience. And if Ebru signs on, their reunion could become the signature that burns this series into memory. At this stage, the project plays like more than television. It feels like a conversation about the future of storytelling, where accents blend, subtitles vanish under emotion, and the screen becomes a meeting point rather than a border. That's the heartbeat of what we celebrate on Secrets Behind the Stars, the craft, the risk, the behind-the-scenes courage that lets us fall in love with stories again and again. Before we close, consider this your gentle nudge. If you're drawn to deep dives that trace the path from rumor to reality, from first look to final cut, hit subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars. Tap join if you want to lean in closer and help us keep these spotlights bright. And of course, click like if the thought of Akın Akınözü delivering Spanish lines against Madrid's gleam, maybe trading looks with Ebru Şahin that say more than pages of dialogue, sends a thrill down your spine. From old stones and new secrets, from Madrid streets to your screen, one thing is unmistakable: this venture isn't just a job for Akın. It's a declaration about what happens when talent crosses thresholds and finds itself at home far from home. With or without official word on the leading lady, and yes, we're watching every hint Ebru drops, the revolution is already underway. Stay tuned, stay curious, and stay with Secrets Behind the Stars, where every story finds its voice and every heartbeat finds its echo. Until the next reveal, remember, sometimes a city becomes a character, sometimes a glance becomes a promise, and sometimes two names, Akınözü and Ebru Şahin, turn a rumor into destiny. We'll be here for the first trailer, the first behind-the-scenes confession, the first scene that makes you pause and replay. The chase has begun. The love story has a pulse. And the world is listening.